Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm Robert Jensen and this is the Pilot Escapes channel. In this video I'm going to do my very best to try and convince you to fly to Lakefront Airport and make a visit to the city of New Orleans. And we're going to show you the main reasons why we love this place so much. Even though we cover a ton of material in this video, it feels like we're just scratching the surface of what the city has to offer. If you make it to the end of the video and like this type of video, please let me know in the comments, and if you want to see more like this. So, in a nutshell, New Orleans is about mostly the amazing people you'll find there. Also the music you find everywhere, the 17th and 18th century architecture, and the amazing cuisine that you'll find nowhere else in the world. This video, however, is not just made for pilots, and if you don't own an airplane, then fly commercial, and if you can't fly commercial, then drive. But find a way to get to New Orleans for at least 3 to 4 days or more. I promise you, you will not regret it. So I want to start by sharing what we're going to cover in this video. First of all, we're going to go over the history of Lakefront Airport and primarily the terminal building. Second, we're going to do a VFR flight into New Orleans through the Class Bravo airspace and land at Lakefront Airport. Third, we're going to cover why New Orleans is one of Americans' favorite destinations in the United States. Fourth, we're going to go over the best things to do in New Orleans. And finally, we're going to talk a little bit about where we would recommend you stay. I really hope you enjoy this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and if you do like it, then please subscribe. So what is it that makes Lakefront Airport so special to the aviation community? First of all, it is the very best example of a preserved Art Deco terminal building in the country. Nowhere else will you find such a beautiful airport terminal. But before we go over the history of Lakefront Airport, I want to share with you our VFR flight into the airport through the Class Bravo airspace and give some pointers on the best way to get there. In this particular segment, we were on an American safari flying from Medford through Los Angeles, Sedona, Santa Fe, San Antonio, and finally New Orleans. This was our last and farthest east destination. The flight from San Antonio to New Orleans took us just north of the Gulf Coast, passing Houston on our left with beautiful vistas of the Gulf of Mexico. There are 2 general aviation airports that service New Orleans, Lakefront and the hospitable port of South Louisiana Executive Regional Airport. The most convenient of the 2 airports is Lakefront, which is about 7 miles northeast of downtown and resides under New Orleans Class Bravo airspace. Though the floor of the Class Bravo airspace is 4,000 feet MSL directly over Lakefront Airport, it lowers to 2,000 feet MSL just north and west of the airport. Coming from the north or east, it is easy to remain below the Class Bravo airspace. From the west, however, New Orleans International and New Orleans Naval Air Station complicate the airspace. It's possible to remain clear of the maze of Class Bravo and Delta areas or navigate a narrow VFR flyway depicted on the New Orleans Terminal Area Chart, which goes directly over the New Orleans International Airport between 1,000 and 2,000 feet. However, according to one tower controller at Lakefront Airport, the easiest way to deal with the Class Bravo airspace is to go right through it, and he was right. the controllers were extremely accommodating to our VFR flight. Even if you don't intend to penetrate the Class Bravo airspace, it is a good idea to request VFR advisories. Consult the New Orleans terminal area maps for frequencies. Prior to departure, you can get a VFR squawk and frequency from lakefront clearance delivery on 127.4. Runways 18 right and 18 left are most commonly used. After we arrived, we taxied to Flight Line First FBO, which is a first-class FBO with the best fuel prices at the time of our visit. I cannot recommend them enough. Approaches from the north cross over Lake Pontchartrain. I don't know how to pronounce that. A warning on the sectional admonishes, be prepared for loss of horizontal reference at low altitude over lake during hazy conditions and at night. You don't want to pull a JFK Jr. In low visibility, it's possible to completely lose a horizon and see only gray matter merging into gray sky. In this case, be prepared to back up visual cues with your instruments and follow the ILS. Lakefront Terminal was built in 1934 under the administration of Huey Long. It was originally named Shushan Airport after Levee Board President and Long ally Abraham Shushan. Visitors noticed at the time that every doorknob, windowsill, countertop, and plumbing fixture bore the name or the initials of Abe Shushan. However, after Shushan's name was tarnished from involvement in the Louisiana scandals of the late 1930s, the airport was renamed New Orleans Airport in 1939. The assigned airport code NEW is retained despite its current lakefront airport name. It is one of only a handful of remaining Art Deco terminal buildings in the country. When it was built, it was the largest and most modern terminal building in the country and predates most of all Art Deco terminals that were ever built, including LaGuardia and Washington National. When it opened, it had a fully operating surgical suite with exam rooms, a fully operational post office. It had the Department of Agriculture and Department of Commerce and Customs and Immigration offices. It had private sleeping quarters, which were unheard of at the time, with private baths for VIPs. It also had a fully operational commercial kitchen and the beautiful Walnut Room and Cafe, which are still open today. It really was a state-of-the-art facility. Basically, it was a little city within a city and ended up being a very popular night spa also. In the 1960s, however, they did some major renovations and actually enclosed the whole building in a white pillbox. This was during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and there was some conjecture that possibly they did it to make it a bomb shelter. During Katrina, however, the whole airport was flooded with about 8 feet of water on the field and 4 foot of water in the terminal interior. As a result, when they went to repair the building, it was determined that there was enough fabric left that they could actually restore every element to its Art Deco origins. The Lakefront Air Terminal remains a work of modern art and is an absolute must-see for every pilot. I want to talk about the history of New Orleans and primarily the French Quarter. The French Quarter is the oldest neighborhood in the city of New Orleans. The French claimed Louisiana in the 1690s, and Jean-Baptiste de Moyne de Bienville was appointed Director General in charge of developing a colony in the territory. He founded New Orleans in 1718. In 1721, the royal engineer Adrien de Pauger designed the city's street layout, which is still in use today. He named the streets after French royal houses and Catholic saints and paid homage to France's ruling family, the House of Bourbon, with the naming of Bourbon Street. New Orleans was ceded to the Spanish in 1763 following the Seven Years' War. The Great New Orleans Fire of 1788 and another in 1794 destroyed 80% of the city's buildings. The Spanish introduced after that strict new fire codes that banned wooden siding in favor of fire-resistant brick, which was covered in stucco, painted in the pastel hues fashionable at the time. The old French peaked roofs were replaced with flat-tiled ones, but the still largely French population continued to build in similar styles influenced by colonial architecture of the Caribbean, such as timber balconies and galleries. The Louisiana Purchase was the acquisition of territory of Louisiana by the United States from the French First Republic in 1803. This consisted of most of the land in the Mississippi River's drainage basin west of the river. In return for $15 million, or approximately $18 per square mile, the United States acquired a total of 828,000 square miles, making up most of central United States. The Kingdom of France had controlled the Louisiana territory from 1682 until it was ceded to Spain in 1762. In 1800, Napoleon Bonaparte, the first consul of the French Republic, regained ownership of Louisiana in exchange for territories in Tuscany as part of a broader effort to reestablish a French colonial empire in North America. However, France was now faced with the prospect of renewed warfare with the United Kingdom. This prompted Napoleon to consider selling Louisiana to the United States. Acquisition of Louisiana was a long-term goal of President Thomas Jefferson, who was especially eager to gain control of the crucial Mississippi River port in New Orleans. Overcoming the opposition of the Federalist Party, Jefferson and Secretary of State James Madison persuaded Congress to ratify and fund the Louisiana Purchase. This then extended United States sovereignty across the Mississippi River, nearly doubling the nominal size of the country. Everything you've ever heard about New Orleans is true. The food is indescribable, the music infectious, and the atmosphere promises fun and frivolity. In the famous French Quarter, you'll find restaurants and bars on every street, each one more intriguing and beguiling than the next. Live music is everywhere, no matter the time of day. The French Quarter is the only intact French colonial and Spanish settlement remaining in the United States. It has been a continuous residential neighborhood since 1718, withstanding hurricanes, floods, fires, yellow fever, epidemics, war, neglect, industrialization, and commercialization. As a registered National Historic Landmark, the French Quarter has secured an important role in our nation's history. The French Quarter should be the epicenter of your visit to New Orleans. For me, a visit here should focus on three main things. First of all, experiencing the unique cuisine of New Orleans. Second, enjoying a jazz club experience. And third, a visit to the National World War II Museum. Jumping right in, our three favorite restaurants are, first of all, G.W. Finn's, located in the heart of the French Quarter on Bienville Street. It has received many accolades, including the New Orleans Visitors and Convention Center's 2022 Champion of New Orleans Tourism Award. It is best known for their dry-aged fish. Guests have been posting rave reviews about the richness of flavor, the soft and succulent texture, and unbelievably crispy skin that are the result of Chef Michael's dry aging process. In fact, any dry-aged fish on the menu is the first to sell out each evening. So the four things that we recommend are the tempura fin wings, which include crispy noodle salad, Korean glaze, also the crispy pork belly, compressed watermelon, pickled ginger slaw, firecracker tuna tacos are absolutely amazing with ginger slaw, wasabi, tobiko, avocado, aioli. And of course, their dry-aged yellowfin tuna ribeye. This is once-in-a-lifetime delicacy, seared rare with fingerling potatoes, asparagus, béarnaise, and house Worcestershire. And their very own original scallopet, which is sea scallops baked into halibut with royal red shrimp risotto, snow peas, and pea shoot butter. Finally, I would recommend their Parmesan crusted sheephead, which has jumbo lump crab, topping crispy capers, and Meyer lemon beurre blanc. Next on our list is Saint Germain, and this is Amy's most favorite or more favorite restaurant. Located a short Uber ride from the French Quarter, the restaurant has received numerous awards, including Food and Wine Magazine Best New Chefs in 2021, GQ Magazine Best New Restaurants in America 2020 and also in 2028, James Beard Award semifinalist Best New Chef in the South. It was Eater New Orleans Restaurant of the Year. It serves a 10-course tasting menu at a very reasonable price. Our menu included oyster apple omakase, Kaluga caviar, Murray cod habanada, hand-rolled couscous, rabbit loin, ember-roasted guinea fowl, and a donut for dessert. Saint Germain is a truly can't-miss experience. It's located in a very unassuming house that's been converted to a restaurant. As far as iconic establishments, the Commander's Palace has remained near the top of the list for decades, and what they are most famous for includes the shrimp and tasso Henneken, which is wild Louisiana white shrimp stuffed with homemade tasso ham, pickled okra, sweet red onions, 5-pepper jelly, and crystal hot sauce. They're also known for their turtle soup au sherry. This is probably their most iconic dish, an authentic Louisiana favorite with veal fond, egg, and crusted lemon, finished tableside with a splash of aged sherry. And finally, I would recommend trying their pecan crusted fish, which has prosecco, poached jumbo lump crab over the spiced New Roads pecan crusted fish, with roasted corn, asparagus, grilled kale, melted leeks, and whiskey spiked crushed corn cream. So few cities take the art of brunch as seriously as New Orleans. There is an entire local mythology built around this meal. For the modern day brunch vibe, I would recommend going to the Covent Bar. A spirit of revelry is alive and well in New Orleans, located on a block known as a mixing bowl for produce merchants and famed mixologists. Inspired by eclectic influences and a love of good wine and spirits, color, creativity, and affection for sacred ingredients are served in a factory-turned brasserie with a style all its own. Named for the old French invitation to couvent or convene, couvent is where flavor and fresh ingredients meet and revel together. If the weather is good, I would recommend grabbing a spot in the courtyard. Linger over some duck confit over waffles or traditional shrimp and grits with chorizo sauce, and you'll never want to leave. Finally, shop at Café Beignet on Bourbon Street for your sugar fix and a Café à la coffee. Jazz is America's music and originated in New Orleans between 1895 and 1915. Its roots are in the tribal music of West Africa and the opera of Europe. Brass bands, blues, ragtime, and even vaudeville contributed to the genre. The seeds of jazz were planted when French colonists imported slaves from Africa's Gold Coast to Louisiana. And like other southern communities, New Orleans allowed slaves to gather on Sundays in Congo Square, now present-day Louis Armstrong Park, to sell their craftwork and garden produce. Most importantly, they were given an opportunity to express themselves through music, dance, call and response singing, and oral story traditions. And from this was born jazz. Our favorite club is the Spotted Cat on Frenchman Street. One day to a girl, to say to see me there. Frenchmen Street is historically home to most of the city's best jazz clubs. Although the street is changing, there are still a few outposts that hold tight to their roots. One is the slightly dilapidated wooden bar. Its rundown charm still attracting crowds of visitors when its doors open each afternoon. It's small, but that just makes you feel closer to the action. Cram in for more than one set. Unless you come early and stay all night, it's going to be crowded when you arrive, especially on Fridays and Saturday nights. Weekdays are a good chance to get closer to the band without too much crowding. There are many other jazz clubs to choose from. Just follow the music and it won't be long before you find your next performance. Finally, the National World War II Museum is a must-see. Again, it's another Uber ride. The French Quarter exhibits include the home front, the Pacific and European theaters, and the D-Day invasion are found in the main halls. Also not to be missed are the immersive submarine exhibit, a truly awe-inspiring 4D movie presentation, and special exhibits such as Louisiana's role in the war. Cutting-edge technology and special effects deliver the real stories of everyday people, immersing viewers in the experience of Americans during World War II. So where to stay? We can recommend 2 hotels that we have stayed at. Our first recommendation is the Windsor Court Hotel. It's more of a traditional style hotel with outstanding service. The rooms are large and beautifully appointed, and it's in a great location. The other recommendation is the Virgin Hotels, also found in the French Quarter. It's more of a contemporary style hotel, one of the newer players in town, and is an excellent value. If you made it this far, you're a rock star, and thank you for watching. Again, if you'd like to see more like this, please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much.